Hello, Sarah here. I'm here to have another conversation for the sake of ourselves. Conversation I want to talk about today is a conversation around complaints. So, I think we all know what a complaint is, something that we're obviously not happy with, satisfied, fulfilled. Maybe we're feeling a loss of power around, we're not clear, we're not liking how something is going. And, this conversation today is about two things, both about, ourselves when we're complaining and also being around other people that are complaining or inside of a complaint. So, firstly, I like two premises that I want to put in. First of all, I think that everything we experience has value, and everything we experience has communication, information, value to support us to navigate what matters to us. So, I want to start by saying, complaints aren't bad, wrong. They're not necessarily, I don't like to look at them as negative. I think complaints have a lot to offer us and a lot of information to give us and a lot that we can utilize to forward and grow our life. So, first and foremost, complaint is not a bad thing. Just let's talk about it so that, it can be utilized and be constructive and be something that forwards us. The second premise that I want to talk about before we get into the conversation is it's really clear to me that our being and our state, like our state of being, really matters. And it's really important, in my opinion, to, cultivate and tend our state. Our state of being gives us our experience or gives us the limitations or the playground or the capacity of our experience. If our state of being is heavy, resistant, upset, we're going to have a certain limit of how we can interact with our experience around us, the people around us, the opportunities around us. Where if our state of being is joyful and creative and tended and filled up and fueled, we're going to have a different kind of way of interacting with our environment. So the two premises are that, again, nothing is wrong with complaints. Complaints have a lot of valuable and useful information, and two, that our state of being matters and gives us the capacity for our experience. So those are the two premises I want to, preface before we get started, because a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to come from those two foundational principles for me. So complaints, both, complaints that you might have, like, there you are and you have complaints, you have frustrations, you have things that are not working for you and things that, you feel frustrated about or at the effect of. And also complaints inside of, the people around you or important person nearby you has, a complaint or complaints or is in a space of complaining. How do you be and how do you be with that communication? So it'd actually be interesting to even take a look and take stock of how complaints occur to you, your own complaints and other people complain. I find it easier sometimes to see how things occur to us by looking outside of ourselves. Like if somebody came up to you and was, just sitting there and complaining about some things, how would that occur to you? Would it be comfortable to listen? Would it be aggravating to listen to? Would you want to fix it? Would you be annoyed with that person? Would you judge that person? Gives you some information of like, what's your capacity to be with complaints. I discovered for myself last night that I can get activated around complaints. It's almost like complaints can occur a little bit like the Black Plague. Oh, I don't want that in my energy. And if somebody around me is complaining about something or isn't satisfied with something, isn't happy with something, I almost go into this like this activated state. And what I noticed for myself there was, it makes me uncomfortable to see somebody not happy and satisfied in their life. And, I struggle because do I come in and be supportive? Do I come in and offer solutions? Do I come in and fix it? How do I be an ear for it, but also don't want to take it on? And especially if the complaint is directed at you or you're interpreting, like I noticed myself last night inside of, somebody I was with that had a complaint, I was interpreting it as if, because there was likely things I could do to give them some relief around the complaint, like, am I taking that on as my role in my job, or am I taking it on as there's something here that I have to do? And so interacting with somebody that's complaining, all of a sudden I'm taking out of the conversation, going over into my head about, well, what could I do about this? Is there something for me to do? Oh, I kind of feel bad. Are they actually complaining at me or to me, or is this a judgment of me? So we can all have a certain way that when somebody around us starts to have a complaint, starts to go into a complaining space, that might cue us up in a certain way. We might have an automatic, a default way of how we kind of cue up into a certain way of being automatically when a complaint is around us, or when somebody comes to us with a complaint. Like, I noticed that for myself last night loudly. I went in a certain direction with the complaint, as if, ooh, crap, I'm responsible for some things here. This person's not happy with me. This person's upset with me. And I went into, like, I didn't actually take action in it, but I could feel all my body sensations go to, like a queued up, almost anxious kind of space of like, what should I do about this? What is my role here? What should I take on? And then I almost got upset or angry. Like, I don't like that kind of passive aggressive communication, and started treating the complaint as if it was passive aggressive communication. And, sometimes complaints can be, unconsciously or consciously used as passive aggressive communication, as a way for somebody to communicate their needs or their wants. There's, expanded, elevated ways to communicate our needs and wants. And sometimes people do communicate their needs and wants through complaint. So, that can be a normal way to feel that the complaint is occurring. It might actually be happening. That person might be communicating their needs and wants through their complaint. You do get a say, though, of whether you are going to receive communication that way, or how you're going to interact with that communication and request for clarity. Anyways, that would be another conversation. But just taking a look at, how are you impacted or affected? How are you affected when a complaint is around you? Is a really great place to first start. Now, another great place to take a look at is, taking a look at yourself. How often do you find yourself inside of a complaint? How often do you find yourself complaining about things? I feel personally that, sticking in a complaint that is not actually getting the information of the complaint and using the complaint constructively for yourself to forward your life, if you're just kind of spinning in a complaint and a complaint and a complaint, there's a level of powerlessness there. There's a level of like, I'm complaining because I don't know what to do. Now, some of us like go into a complaint and we need to talk it out loud. And there's nothing wrong with talking out loud what is bothering us, what is frustrating us, what is annoying us. It's more just is like, what's the context behind how you are interacting with a complaint, how you are interacting with the information inside of you that, you're annoyed, frustrated, or inside of a complaint with. Like, are you hearing the communication of the complaint for the communication it is, or are you, being at the effect, or, kind of victim to whatever it is that you're up to, that you're in a complaint with? Do you, when you are having something in front of you that you are frustrated, annoyed, or in a complaint about, how do you relate to yourself in that? Do you relate to yourself as, I'm in the driver's seat of my life. Here's this complaint I have, and, oh, that's good information. What am I going to do with it? That's really valuable. Or life is happening to me. I'm really, all of these things are happening to me, and I'm kind of overtaken by the things that are happening to me, and all I, have power around is to talk about it, and to, complain about it, or to be upset about it, or to talk about somebody else to it, or talk with somebody else about it, and again, that's not inherently wrong. That's good communication. It's good information that's coming into you of how you're interacting with yourself. But I think having some level of awareness about how you're interacting and who you're being with yourself, and how you're interacting with yourself with your complaint is important. And how you're, what is your expectation with, talking that complaint out loud, or talking with that complaint with somebody? Is your expectation to be heard? Is your expectation to be seen? Is your expectation to deliver communication in some way that you want help, but you're not directly asking for it? It's just good to take a look at how do you interact with your own complaints that you have. We're going to have complaints. Stuff in life isn't going to go our way. We are going to get frustrated and annoyed as things happen, and we're going to, have times where we're going to complain. And how do we interact? What is our relationship with complaints? Like, it all goes back to relationships, right? It's all how we relate to the ways of being with ourselves, how we relate to our interactions and our body sensations and the information that's coming in. How are we, interacting and relating to this information coming in and our experience, and how are we outputting this information? So, it all comes back to relationships, really, in the end. And you can go back to, the conversations that we've been having up until now, what is the relationship you're promised to take on with yourself? Who do you promise to be with yourself? How do you promise to interact with yourself? If you are saying that's important and you're saying you're got your back best friend, the moment you notice some upset come up, some frustration come up, some annoyance come up, that complaint come up, who are you for yourself? Who are you with yourself? Are you arms around like, I got that? There's something that's bothering you. There's something that's upsetting you. There's something that's not working for you. Like, thanks for saying something. Thanks for, being in communication with yourself about it. Thanks for being honest with yourself. Thanks for admitting it. Thanks for not stepping over it and pushing through and persevering. Thanks for meeting yourself where you are. Here's this thing that isn't working for you. Here's this upset or annoyance or frustration. Like, that's good information. If you're having a great relationship with yourself, the information that you are right where you're at, it's like, it's really good pulses. It's really good status updates. It's really good information to let you know, oh, this is how you actually feel about it. This is, a current status report of where you're actually at. Thanks for the information. So, like, my recommendation of the first way, after you've kind of looked at how you generally relate to complaints with other people and with yourself, take a look at, like, how do you want to interact with your complaints? How do you want to relate to it? What kind of relationship do you want to bring into your complaints? And again, my first premise is complaints aren't bad. They have a lot of great, valuable information that you're going to get a chance to get to know yourself and to get to know some specifics of what do you like, what don't you like, maybe why you like it, why don't you like it, what your needs are. Sometimes we look at needs as a bad word, like, we don't want to come across needy. We don't want to be weak. We don't have to require something. We don't want to be vulnerable. But really, we all have certain needs, and getting highly related to what our needs are so we can advocate for our needs just gives us access to environments that work around us, and environments then we can flourish in. Like, these needs, we don't have to have all the other people around us meet our needs. We can meet a lot of our needs ourselves. Sometimes we do need support in having our needs met, but, like, knowing what our needs are so that we can give ourselves what we need, meet ourselves where we are, and put in whatever we need, or ask for what we need, or build environments around us in a way that supports us and is supportive, is super helpful. So, again, a complaint is really great information coming in saying, alert, alert. Something isn't working here. Something is causing some frustration. Something is causing some annoyance. Something is causing some gradedness. I'm not satisfied and fulfilled. It's the contrast. It's letting you know, alert, alert, contrast. I'm not having the joy and the fulfillment and the satisfaction to me right now. And it seems like there's something missing or something I need that I might want to have different because I'm not enjoying this experience right now. So, it is good communication. It's what the opportunity in front of us is how do we then interact with that communication? How do we relate to a complaint? Because what can happen, again, the second premise being that, our state of being really matters. Not, again, that we need to avoid complaints, because a complaint's great information. But if you notice for yourself, or you even notice around other people, when you're kind of stuck in a complaint, when you're just, complaining and complaining and complaining, but not constructively, you're not necessarily getting information and communication that can forward you or be helpful. You're not really identifying what your needs are or having power in the situation where you can then take actions with the complaint. If you're just kind of stuck in, at the effect of the complaint, or at the effect of your life, or at the effect of whatever's happening to you that has you complain, there's a cost on our energy. There's a drain on our energy. There's a certain state that we are then in. We're like in this complaint state, this, frustrated, agitated, on edge state. And it doesn't have us be really available for all what's available to us. If you look at yourself and if you're just, noticing, I'm complaining, I'm complaining, I'm complaining, I'm complaining, how does that feel? What's your energy feeling like in your body? What is your context around yourself and what you have power for? Generally when we're inside of a series of complaints, we're feeling pretty powerless. And again, nothing's wrong with feeling powerless. At times in our life, we do feel powerless. It's just great information to intake and to get, wow, I'm feeling powerless right now. Because again, if you're a really great friend with yourself, getting the information of, I feel powerless right now, it's like, wow, okay, you feel powerless right now. How can we support you? What do you need? What do you need to put in? Like, maybe you're tired and you need to go to sleep. Like, I don't know. There's all kinds of needs that you might have that are being stepped over at that time for yourself, that if you are getting that information of, oh, I feel powerless right now, that's good information. So it's, again, none of this is to be avoided. None of this is to be judged. None of this is to be interacted with like it's a problem. It's really great, valuable information if you're a really good friend to yourself, and if you're meeting yourself where you are with compassion and understanding and seeing the opportunity and value of what this information gives you so that you can navigate and enhance and elevate your experience in your life. And it's a way to have your back. It's actually like, thank you, body. Thank you, mind. Thank you, voice, for letting me know that this complaint is here, that this is something that's really annoying or frustrating or weighing on me or wearing on me. It's like, wow, I wasn't seeing that, or I was willing to step over it or put it, think that other things could be more important. So thank you, complaint. Thank you, information. And we're looking to elevate how we interact with the idea of complaint. Because again, when we are stuck in complaint, when we are, at the effect, victim to it, it has us, like the complaint has us, we don't have it. Well, that's heavy. That's burdensome. That's can get depressing over time, and also take a look at, if you're around somebody that's often ongoingly in a complaint, or they're stuck in a complaint and they're not willing for contribution, or they're not willing to look, work it out. They're not willing to necessarily get the information. They're just, they're just really attached to the complaint and the frustration of it and the annoyance of it and everything else. And they're not moving the needle mark, and they're just ongoingly like that. Like, do you enjoy being around that person? Is that person like, supporting your energy, or, taking from your energy? Like, it's like the world of complaint can be quite an energy take. Like, it can be something that kind of sucks life and energy out. So again, nothing is wrong with a complaint. It's actually great, alert, but to stay in complaint isn't helpful for the complainer or for the people around them. So, again, sometimes we really do need to actually talk it out, work it out, speak it out, say what's there. There's nothing wrong with any of that. That's actually valuable, important. Do that, please. It's just staying in a complaint at the effect as if you have no power, as if there isn't any solutions, as if you will be there forever. Like that staying there is a cost to your system. And again, if our state and our being gives us our experience, and you're ongoingly in a complaint place, you are just letting yourself here and here of how much enjoyment you can actually take in. If you're sitting there walking around in a complaint, you're not going to notice the great things around you. You're not going to hear a lot of the things that are being said that have value for you, that, like, acknowledgments, compliments, interactions, love, kindness, opportunity, inspiration, creativity. When you're inside of a complaint, you're not necessarily going to hear that loudly. It's going to be "Rah, rah," little Charlie Brown muffled. "Rah, rah, 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 rah." You're going to be so in a complaint world. It's going to be really loud where you are, and it might even feel loud in your body. Like, actually, I don't know about you. I feel a lot of body sensations in my body. So when, I am frustrated, agitated, annoyed inside of a complaint, it can be really loud in my body. It can actually be a bit painful in my body, or spiky, or agitating, or anxious, or, I can feel the energy movement in a certain way that is quite distracting and doesn't make me available to be in conversations with other people, to hear what other people are actually saying, to actually be available for connection and relatedness and, whatever it is I'm up to and into. Doesn't have me available for any kind of creativity. Like when I'm in a complaint or complaining, it's like, I don't feel inspired. I don't really feel a lot of access for things. So, take a look when you are inside of a complaint, when you yourself has a complaint, like what kind of relationship do you want to have with your complaints? How do you want to interact with them? If you're somebody who notices that you do tend to complain a lot, again, not a problem. You might be an outputter. You might need to speak out your information to hear it and to see it and to move with it. That's great. Like again, complaints are not inherently bad or wrong. It's great information. But if you find you're somebody who just stays and festers and swims in the pool of complaint, you might want to take a look at altering that for yourself, just because of the cost on your energy, the cost on your experience, and the cost of what's available then for yourself, your life, and the relationships around you, and, all of what you want to get up to. And your energy is so valuable. Your life force is so valuable. The state of being is so valuable. Tending it and investing into it and, is really important. And it's almost like, weeding in a little bit. It's like weed out the complaints, not inside of removing so complaints don't exist. Just, deal with them, go into the root, see what that complaint is about. And then, okay, got the information, and pull that weed out, so that you're not stuck with it and just residually inside of a complaint. So, that's really the first part of like, how do you want to interact with complaints? How do you see complaints, and building this relationship of the value that complaints offer? So let's take a look at like, okay, now what? Like, let's first look at, yourself. You have a complaint. You're annoyed. You're frustrated. You have some kind of grievance. Something's going on, some kind of upset. Things aren't going well. Things aren't working, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it could be something at work, could be a child, could be a relationship, could be, something happened to you. There you are, there you are, there you are. How can you be? Okay, well, first off, you're this great friend with yourself. You're saying this is valuable information. If you're noticing you have a complaint, let's actually relate to it as valuable information. Okay, let me actually get this one time so I don't have to sit here and fester into my complaint. Here's the complaint. It's in front of me. How can I be with it? Well, you can take it really seriously. You can take it like, hey, this complaint matters enough that it's in your attention span. This complaint matters enough because something's not working for you. So let's take it seriously. Maybe grab your journal, grab a notebook, grab a pen, grab your phone, grab a notes app, something, and let's work it out. What am I a complaint of? What's not working for me? What am I upset about? What is frustrating me? What is annoying me? Good information. And then ask yourself, well, how would I like it to be? What would I enjoy here? What do I need here? Is there something that if I put it in would make a difference? You don't have to go into solution mode right away. You can be with it and be with the information and ask yourself some, important questions of the things that arise that you might need to work through about the complaint. But who am I about this complaint? Am I okay to continue on in this complaint? Is there something I'm not advocating for myself? Is there a boundary I've stepped over? Is there something that I need and that I want that I'm not asking for? I like to often, take a look when I have a complaint, like, what am I a request for? Like, what am I actually asking for here for myself? What do I need here for myself? Like, What have I stepped over? What do I need? What am I a request for? Are good questions that I like to ask myself when I'm noticing myself inside of a complaint. So those are some inquiry points that you can go to when you have a complaint, and then take a look like, okay, how would I love this to be? What do I need? What do I need to ask for? What action can I take going forward that'll make a difference? What's a way that I can be supportive and have my back right now? Maybe all I need is just a hug and say it. Like, I like to ask the people around me, but it's also good to ask myself is, do I need just an ear to be listened to and heard? Do I need just a space to vent? Do I need a hug? Do I just need, just some big regulation and co-regulation and some support? Do I need some solutions? Do I want to problem solve this? Do I want to work something out? Asking yourself, what do I need to do right now with this complaint? What would make a difference is important before you just go off into solution mode. Like, do I just need an ear to vent this out? Do I need a hug, some care, some encouragement, some supportiveness, some love? Do I need some solutions? Can be some questions you ask yourself. And likewise, if you are sitting there in front of somebody that's inside of a complaint, and you're noticing yourself activated or frustrated for yourself, like, again, energy is transferable. Like, if I'm in a complaint, do you notice that if people around you are in a complaint, we can get in complaints about their complaint? Like, complaints breed complaints. So noticing, okay, like somebody's inside of a complaint, how can I be? Who can I be? How am I about to interact with this person? What is my current relationship with complaints? Am I seeing this as valid communication? Am I seeing this person in a valid space? And, it's your energy. You get to say what you're interacting with, and please advocate for yourself. I'm somebody who's really about, autonomy, agency, and advocacy. You're a sovereign being. You say what is going to be in your energy and what's not going to be in your energy. And if you are just a no to a person that continually goes into a complaint mode because it sucks your own energy, put in what you need to put in to take great care of yourself first and foremost. And then, if this is something you're going to proceed in because, that person has value to you, that person is important to you, you'd like to be supportive or with that person, you can acknowledge like, oh, I see that, things aren't working for you. I see that, you're upset right now. I see there's something you're not liking right now. You can ask that person, like, do you need an ear? Do you just want to vent? Do you just want to vent it out? Would that be helpful? Do you want a hug? Do you want some support? Do you want some encouragement? Do you just want some care and love? Do you want solution mode? Do you want to actually get advice here? Do you want me to be a space for you to work out your own solution? Like how you can ask, how would you like me to interact with you and what's upsetting you? And, you can ask that information. And if you're not willing to give those spaces, don't offer it. You can also say, I hear something's bothering you. In my bandwidth, I can't really take a lot on right now or have a lot of space for things because I have my own things I'm dealing with, but I can offer you a hug. I can offer you 5 minutes of really hearing what's there. I'm happy to listen to what's there and send you any solutions I have. Like, you get to take a look at how you're going to interact with the person in front of you and what they're dealing with and what you have your own capacity for and what's aligned to your values and commitments. You still have power here. You don't have to surrender your own power because you see somebody else that's in a disempowered state. Doesn't mean, again, that disempoweredness needs to breed and fester. You can still be empowered in somebody's disempowerment. You can still be empowered when somebody is in complaint. You can still be supportive and encouraging when somebody is inside of complaint. And you have a lot of say of how you're going to interact with the energy around you. Often it doesn't seem like we have a lot of say initially because we go into our queued up kind of automatic reactions and responses, or how, things occur to us and how we relate to it. If we have a certain way to relate to complaints, if we had a parent that complained a lot and drained our energy or used us as a space to do that emotional labor, or somebody that was really passive aggressive in their communication and didn't often ask requests and just kind of complained about things as a way to ask requests, you might have some alert around complaints and not want to interact and deal with them. Fair, but get that you can take on your relationship with complaints. You can take on your relationship with how you interact with the energies around you, so that you can be a safe space first for yourself, so then you can be a space for other people. Like, that is something you can cultivate and grow, so that you can be a great space for the people around you. And you never have to be. You get to first and foremost always say what you're doing with your energy, how you're interacting with the people around you, and what kind of bandwidth and capacity you have for things. And be very boundaried about that. Be very clear about what your own needs are in those interactions. So that was a lot on just a little topic, complaints, and there's still so much more we can talk about. But what I really wanted to leave you with today is, again, first and foremost, nothing is inherently wrong with complaints. Like any emotional response, I think we have an emotional response system, and it's really, when we experience judgment, when we experience upset, when we experience resentment, when we experience frustration, when we experience anger, when we experience sadness, grief, hurt, loss, all of these things, nothing's inherently wrong with any of those. It's not to be avoided at all. It's not, it's actually really valuable, great information that's coming in, letting you know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you're a yes to, what you're a no to, what you want, what you don't want, what you love, what feels good, what you need, what your request for. Like, it has a lot of really good information about yourself to get to know yourself and to get related to yourself, and gives you good information of, how you can then advocate for yourself or what you might need, and how you can then navigate situations around you and build environments that work and build relationships that work. So again, nothing is inherently wrong with complaints at all. Taking a look at, what is your relationship with complaints? What's your relationship with somebody who's in a complaint? What's your relationship with somebody complaining? What's your relationship with somebody who isn't experienced being empowered? Their experience is being disempowered. How does that affect you? How does that cue you up? How are you with yourself when you're feeling disempowered? All of this is really great information to know. There's no right way to be. There's, an opportunity to meet yourself right where you are, an opportunity to be a really great and dear friend with yourself, arms around dear friend with yourself, and hear yourself, listen to yourself, get the information for the valuable communication that it is, and then utilize that information to navigate, enhance, and elevate your life, and expand how you can be in relation to those kinds of ways of being, so that, for the people around us, again, the more we can be a space for our own complaints, and the more we can actually build a relationship with our complaints as valuable communication, we actually start building ourselves as a really great tool and resource for the people around us when they're in complaints. And we can advocate for their power. We can advocate for their energy, so that, again, they don't go down those pits and those rabbit holes that are draining their energy and costing themselves, or draining your energy and costing yourselves. Your energy is a really worthwhile investment. Your state of being, your state is a worthwhile investment. Your state gives you the capacity to your experience. So taking your time, energy, and effort and putting it into, cleansing, clearing, elevating, getting the communication of your state, so that you can expand your state, so that you can, have higher frequencies of enjoyment and fulfillment, freaking worthwhile. Because again, it's going to give you entirely new ways to interact with yourself, the people around you, the environment around you, and what's happening around you. So I'm going to leave it there before this goes really long. We're already over 30 minutes. So there you go. A quick morning message. Thanks for being with me in my bed head and everything else, because it's bright and early and I'm about to get off and ready for my day. Have a great day. Happy Sunday. Take care and see you again soon. Bye. From the sake of ourselves.